and welcome to the Habits and Home Show. I'm your host, Lisa Lazat, and I help busy moms bring order to their homes by downsizing and decluttering and ditching old habits in exchange for systems that bring peace and more enjoyment to their lives. If you're a mom trying to show the love of Jesus to your family, but the clutter in your home keeps you overwhelmed and frustrated, you have come to the right place. On this podcast, you will hear easy, step-by-step tips to declutter and create systems so you can keep your home organized and finally walk in the peace God has promised you. Need some accountability? I've got you covered there too. Join the Accountability Club, a community of like-minded mamas decluttering and systemizing our homes together. Are you ready, friend? Let's get started. Hey friends, and welcome to the show. Like I've been sharing with you on other episodes, when you dive into listening to these, I want to encourage you to take some kind of action. When we are listening to people who encourage productivity, we feel more productive in our home. So whether you are doing dishes, folding laundry, maybe putting in some AirPods and sweeping your home, maybe mopping your floors because that's something that you neglect to do on a regular basis, I want to encourage you to take some kind of action. Maybe you even go and wipe down your shower because you haven't done that in a while. Maybe clean your bathroom. So I want to encourage you on each of these episodes while you're listening to me to take some kind of action in your home. And I'm going to probably start slowing down these episodes and stretching them out a little bit longer, probably between 25 to 30 minutes, so that while you're listening, you do feel like doing something in your home. That's something that a lot of my clients, when I'm working with them one-on-one, that we end up doing together is I get them started on the task that is important to them that week. And while they're doing that task, they really just want me to talk to them. They want me to either, tell them what I've been doing in my home. Maybe they've asked me a question and they want me to elaborate on the answer to that question. Whatever it is, they really just want somebody to declutter, to organize, to clean alongside of them. It really helps to hold them accountable. It sets an appointment with themselves, but also with somebody else, and you're more likely to follow through on an appointment if you've set it with somebody else. So if that is something that you might need help with in your home, you need help decluttering, you need help letting things go, you need permission to let things go, and it's just really hard for you to do on your own, and you need somebody to do it alongside of you, I have a couple of options. So you might have heard in the intro that I do have the Accountability Club, and that is my group program, which we do a group coaching, decluttering call every other week, a video call every other week. You can have your camera on or you can leave it off, whatever. I do try to give each person a little bit of individualized coaching during those calls, but it's really just a time for you to be productive in your home and to take some kind of action. Now, if group programs don't feel good to you, for me, if I don't want specific feedback, group programs aren't that bad, right? If I'm just like, okay, I feel motivated, I'm taking action, everybody's taking action, I can do this alongside of people, that's great. But if I want questions asked for my specific situation, then I'm more inclined to want to do one-on-one. So if that's something that you're more interested in, I do offer one-to-one coaching experience where we meet once a week and I ask you what the project is that's important for you and we get started on that. You might not even know what you need to work on. And so I might guide you through that. So either one of those, if you're interested, you can click the link below to get started with me. So before we dive into today's topic, I just kind of want to make this a little bit more personalized and give you some updates on my life. So some things that I have personally been working on in my home, some projects. Well, if you've been listening for any length of time, we do live in a 70-year-old farmhouse and we are always doing renovations. And so one of the big projects that we are having that is getting started this week is we are doing a concrete covered carport, which is going to be so exciting for me because right outside our back door where we go to our car and where we park, it gets really muddy when it rains. It's dirt and everything. And thankfully, I have this new rhythm on my weekend reset or my weekly reset where I subscribed to a car wash and I go and wash my car and clean it out every Friday. And so that's something that I had to add to my weekly system, is my weekly reset of resetting my car. And so even though my car, I do have that system set up, it would just be nice to have a covered carport, right? And so that's one project that we are starting actually tomorrow. And my husband wants to put up a basketball goal for the boys. Now we have teenagers, and we're thinking about like, okay, we want our house to be the house where teenagers come to. That's just my personality. I'm like, yes, the door is always open. I always have frozen cookie dough balls in the freezer to just pull out, pop in the oven. That's one of my systems that I've created. And so I really want to be that home that is welcoming, inviting as my kids are going into these teenage years. You know how it is when teenagers, well, maybe you don't know how it is. Maybe you remember when you were a teenager, you stay really busy and you want to go to the house that is like the fun house. Well, if you don't have things at your home for teenagers to do, they're going to end up gravitating to the other fun houses. And so we don't have a pool, and we do have four-wheelers. Now, you don't necessarily have to have all of those things, but you do have to have a place for kids to gravitate to. And so there are some things that we have just negotiated with them, not necessarily negotiated, but things we said we would never do, we have ended up doing. For instance, a TV in our boys' bedroom. That is something we said we would never do. Never say never that you will never do something, because if there's a good reason for doing it, maybe you might bend on those rules or those ideologies that you originally started out with. So we ended up giving, and it wasn't even a present that was for like a Christmas or birthdays or anything. It was just something that we're like, okay, this makes sense. This is a good system for us to create. Yes, we're going to go ahead and invest in this system. And so sometimes you put your money into something that is worth giving you more peace in your home. And it feels peaceful for me. I know that sounds kind of crazy to have kids, my kids and my friends' kids at my home. Like not that I'm a hover parent, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, yeah, I'm the mom that they can walk in and they know that fresh baked cookies are going to be, that are going to be available, and maybe not necessarily Cokes in the refrigerator, because my kids scarf down all the good thing or all the like not healthy things. And so we can't even keep Cokes in our house. So even if we had like a Coke refrigerator, it would not stay stocked. So I just have given that up. But I want my kids' friends to feel like we can be their mentors. And so I want to create that space for them. So we added a TV, we added a love seat upstairs for them to, be able to have their friends over, and no boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, obviously, in bedrooms. But, have a place where their friends can come and hang out and feel comfortable. And we also have my daughter, whose bedroom is downstairs, and we only had one TV in the house. So when she would have her friends come over, we didn't have for the boys anywhere for the boys to go to be able to watch TV or play their video games or whatever. So now we can kind of like separate them and give them their each individual spaces to host their friends. So that's one thing that we have, a system that we've, so back to thinking about, creating a home that is inviting for kids. So back to what I was saying with the cover cardboard, we're going to turn it into a basketball goal. So I probably won't be able to park there very often. When we have Easter Sunday dinner here, we're planning on having it underneath the carport. So that's just one of the projects that we have going on that is starting actually tomorrow. Some other projects that I'm working on is organizing my physical photos. So in the Accountability Club in the month of March, every March, we focus on our sentimental items and photos. Even though we did tackle our digital photos in the month of January, I told my members inside the Accountability Club, I said, because it kept coming up, what's the system or what's a good organization for physical photos? How do I let these go? And so I told them, I was like, let's table this discussion until March, and let's take ourselves through this process of doing our digital photos. And then in the month of February, we did our paper clutter. And so now in this month, we are wrapping up our sentimental items. So in this month, I already had my sentimental system in place, and I shared that with the group members, and I've encouraged them to get their system in place for their sentimental items. But for me, when I circle back around to these different topics each and every year, I try to take it a little bit deeper. And I shared with you going a little bit deeper in a couple of episodes back of how, like, when you come back to a topic, every time you come back around, you take your decluttering or your organization or your system a little bit deeper. You take it to the next level of organization. So for me, for our Sentimentals month, I was focusing on my physical photos because right now, or not right now per se, but they had been just stored in a box or in a basket, and I didn't really feel like we were able to enjoy them. And so now I'm separating them into each of the kids' photo albums, and those photo albums are stored in their sentimental boxes. And then those leftover photos that belong to me and my husband, I'm going to get some photo albums to put those loose pictures in so that we can actually have them in our living room and flip through them. I remember growing up and my mom having photo albums, the ones that you had the clear cellophane sheet, and then you had the sticky part where the picture stuck to it. Now those are not good for your pictures, and they can actually warp your pictures or turn them brown, and I don't recommend those at all. But having sleeves where your pictures simply slide into those are really great photo albums. So I'm going to be working through that project. So that's one of my organizing projects that I have going on in my life. Another system that I created is I love reading fiction. Fiction is a hobby that I took up, I would say probably 3 years ago, when I was trying to get away from using social media as much. So, which is kind of funny because a couple of years before that, I had this desire to get away from social media and using my phone. And actually, it really wasn't social media back then. It was more Pinterest. I loved scrolling on Pinterest. I would pin things, never do them. Who actually does the things that they pin on Pinterest? And so I wanted to get away from that bad habit of just going to my phone, sitting down, scrolling, brain dumping into, or mind numbing myself into Pinterest, right? And so I took up the hobby of crocheting because I needed to keep my hands busy. So while my husband was watching TV and we wanted to spend time together, we would watch Pickers and American Pawn or whatever, I don't even remember what it's called, Pawn Stars, right? And so while he's watching this, I'm over here crocheting, kind of listening to the show because I really did enjoy those shows. And it really helped me to get away from that habit. Well, then I got involved in network marketing. And of course, they push you into doing social media. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, it created a lot of anxiety for me. That is a whole different topic. I really wanted to do a podcast on my experience in network marketing, but that's going to be a completely separate topic. So back to my desire to start reading more fiction. I feel like for several years, I was more on this nonfiction bandwagon of bettering myself and, personal development. And I really didn't even know, I lost that enjoyment of reading fiction. I remember back when in my 20s, I started reading Nicholas Sparks, and it really oh my gosh, I love young adult or even adult books because it really, I'm the type of reader where I can just paint the picture in my head, and I really enjoyed it. And so I thought, okay, I need a different hobby to get me off of social media, to break this bad habit of social media. So I picked up fiction. So I really enjoy tracking what I'm reading. I like setting myself a goal. So this past week, I actually joined a book club. I was invited to a book club. While I was at the book club, I was sharing with them all the books that I had read previously, and I opened up my TBR app. It's TBR, and I love the app because it has a visual diagram of all the books that you've been reading, and you enter it in. It gives you this cute little bookshelf of your books, and I love the visual aid. But I went in there, and all of my books for the past 3 years were completely wiped out. And I was like, oh my goodness. Thankfully, I had taken screenshots and shared them with other people. So I was able to go back to those chats and, figure out what books I had read over the past 3 years. So I was like, okay, that system obviously is flawed. I need a better system. I do have a Goodreads account. So I do every once in a while upload my review or whatever. It's a very simple review. So I am on Goodreads in case you are a Goodreads participant as well. But I was like, okay, this system is not working. So I went to Google Sheets and I created a spreadsheet, very simple spreadsheet. And so that is my new system for tracking what I'm reading. If you're not a reader, then this is probably super boring to you. But I just wanted to share with you that anytime there is a problem or something that you want to be better at, create a system for it, okay? So just kind of take that little tidbit and just know that you can create systems for the things that you desire. The last thing that I want to share with you as far as what I've been working on lately, I have been meal planning for, I don't know, probably really good for the past 2 to 3 years, right? Very consistently writing down my meal plan. My meal plans used to be a little bit more detailed. I used to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now I just do dinner because our breakfasts are pretty much the same and I've gotten good at those. Everybody knows what to expect. And so I've gotten really good at writing, on my weekend reset, I plan my meals for the following week. So like I said, when you have the capacity, you've mastered the skill, then when you circle back around and you look at that system, you think, how can I take this to the next level? Now that I've mastered and it's a really good habit, how can I improve this routine or the system to better serve me, in a greater way, right? So for me, a couple of months ago, I started batch cooking or meal prepping our breakfast. So we have eggs, we have chickens at our house. And so what I've started doing is just cooking like 3 dozen eggs all at one time and, 2 rolls of sausage all at one time. And it would make enough for our entire family for an entire week. And so I was like, okay, this is great. I'm doing really good at this. So this past week I tried, because I was cooking on Monday for our dinner for Monday. And I was like, you know what? I already have my meal plan set out. I already know what I'm going to be cooking. Why don't I cook these other things along while I'm cooking our meal for Monday? So Monday was tacos. Today is chicken and rice. So I went ahead and started prepping and cooking most of the meals that we have for this week. And I always do pizza on Friday and leftovers on Sunday. A lot of people have this, and maybe I might be this way when my kids are older and I say, come back home for Sunday dinner. I don't know. But right now, and maybe this is my next level of planning, meal prepping, being a good mom, and I don't know, server to my family. But I just cannot do the whole Sunday big meal. Like, it's usually leftovers. Or something simple. Like, I just feel like that's my day of rest. And I don't think ahead of time to have this big, nice Sunday afternoon meal. I would love that. I remember I had my pastor's wife when I was growing up. She would invite us over every once in a while to their Sunday family meal. And I was like, oh, this is so wonderful. I would love to be this person one day. But in reality, I'm just not there yet. And that's okay. I'm going to give myself grace. I'm just not there yet. Maybe I will be one day, but not right now. Okay, so that's just a little bit of personal tidbits. Hopefully in your home, you're getting some cleaning done. You're getting some organization done. Maybe you're cleaning out your junk drawer or something, okay? So now we're going to dive into our topic for today, which came up during our last week's group accountability call, our coaching call inside the accountability club. And one of the members said that she can't keep her home 100% clean 100% of the time. Like, it'll get down to like 50% clean, and then she'll get it back up to 100. And then slowly but surely things start creeping down in that percentage, right? And so she's like, how do I keep it 100% clean all of the time? And I told her, I was like, well, you can get a live-in nanny that that's what her job is to do. And she was kind of shocked. She was like, I thought you were going to give me some wise tip, like there's a secret to this. I was like, no, honey, there is no secret, because in reality, realistically, you can't keep your home 100% clean and 100% clutter-free and organized all of the time. Now, the people that are able to do that, now, there's always going to be those select few that are like, they raise their hand, and typically those are not the people that are listening to this podcast, but there are going to be those exceptions to the rule where they're able to keep their home 100% clean 100% of the time, right? But I want you to, and this is what I said to her, I want you to think about the type of person you would have to become with your family, like the type of mom, the type of wife that you would have to become to have that perfectly clean home 100% of the time. For me, I know that what that mom looks like. She's a drill sergeant. There's not a lot of love. There's not a lot of compassion. There's not a lot of grace. There's probably not a lot of fun, because her sole main goal is keeping her home clean and tidy 100% of the time. And that is not my goal in life. My goal in life is to live as free as I can and enjoy my family as much as I can. And my goal is not to be slave to keeping my home clean all of the time. So what do we do? What do we do to release this false expectation or this false goal that is not really attainable, right? Well, we have to understand that we have to just accept it. We have to accept that and I say this to myself, I am not willing to be the type of mom that can keep a clean home 100% of the time, because I know what that looks like. And that woman is not full of grace. She is not full of love. She's probably not having fun, right? So I say that to myself over and over and over again. Now, that does not mean that we cannot get better and better and better at this. It truly is a bettering of yourself. Like once you open up your eyes to this and you are on this journey of making it easier for yourself to maintain your house, like that you have exceeded your capacity in life. You have not said no to things. You have said yes, yes, yes. Things have come in. You have had no self-control. You have not denied your family of anything, and things have just been coming in. So once you realize, wow, things have gotten out of control and we are living way beyond our capacity, from that point on, your eyes are opened and you continually strive to get better and better. You're binging on podcasts. You're maybe binging on this podcast. You may be binging on YouTube videos. Okay. You are focused. You are hyper aware of this problem that you have, and you are focused on it. Anytime that I am trying to learn something new, I am hyper focused on that topic. So for instance, I'm not good at politics, y'all. I'm not good at listening to politics. I don't understand all the jargon and everything. But right now, I'm like, and it's funny because it's after the election, but I feel better doing it when there's not a lot of pressure, right? And so right now I'm trying to learn. I actually want to get a book on debate, and I don't necessarily want to be somebody who debates, but I want to know what they're talking about. And so for me, I'm going to listen to more podcasts on politics. I'm going to listen to more YouTube videos on politics. I'm going to read more books. Probably not, but maybe some audiobooks or just some short clips of things, right? And so when you are hyper-focused, you have an awareness that you want to do better in a certain area, then you start consuming more information. So just trust the process. I know that you want to completely overhaul how you think, and you're mad at yourself and you're like, why do I keep falling into these bad habits? Why can't I create these systems? Why don't I follow through on these systems? Well, just give yourself grace. It is a process. And the things that, say you're decluttering your home now, and you get rid of some things, when you come back around to that area next year, you're going to get rid of even more, right? Because you've grown as a person. You have this whole year of experiences that has shaped you, has molded you, and now you are a different person looking at your stuff in a different light, in a different frame of mind, okay? So trust the process, okay? So I want you to know that it is possible, though, to be a kind human being and keep your home clean. Okay, it is possible to be a kind human being and keep your home clean and not your kids not hate you and you not be a wrathful mom, right? It is possible, but it's going to take some steps. Okay. Like I said, it's going to be a process. You can't just flip a switch overnight and say, okay, this is how it's going to be forever. No, it's like turning a huge ship. It's like takes a lot of work to turn that ship around. But I do encourage you to do these 3 things. Okay. This comes to the meat and potatoes of this podcast. These 3 things. Now, these are not the 3 things that are the end all be all, and they're not quick wins. It's a process, and I encourage you to go through this process. It's the same process that I take people through when I'm coaching them one-on-one or in my group program. Number 1, you have to simplify. You have to downsize your inventory and what you are managing on a daily basis. That is just bottom line. You have to let things go. These might be good things, but too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing. The more you own, the more you have to manage and maintain, and you can only do so much. You can only handle so much as a little person, right? You can only handle so much. So here's what I want you to do. As you're decluttering, the more and more you declutter, the more aware you are going to be of the things that are coming in, the things you are saying yes to. You are actually going to become a no person. Ooh, that might sound like a negative thing, but trust me, it is positive in our day and age. There are hardly any people in the world nowadays that can say no to themselves, no to their kids, no to their spouse, no to their loved ones, whoever it is. We are yes people, and our yeses, too many yeses, are getting us into trouble. They are overwhelming us. So what are some of the things that we need to say no to? We need to say no to buying things. Like, for instance, I picked up my son early from school today to take him to a baseball game or to drop him off at the middle school. And he said, Mom, can we go through Sonic and get some cheese sticks? And I was like, I could do that. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I just talked with my husband yesterday. There is some debt that we need to pay down. Even though it's like $3 for some cheese sticks, that is not a good habit to continue to feed into. So I told him, no, we can't. No. And I told him the truth. I say, hey, we have some money that we need, like it's not in budget. We need to focus on, staying in budget, and this is not in budget right now. And so we had to say no. And though I wanted to bless him and say, yeah, we can do that, buddy, it's just me and you. But I had to say no. So saying no to buying things, say no to drive-through meals or convenience store snacks. Say no to volunteering for good causes. Like, a lot of us moms hop on the bandwagon and we feel bad because nobody has stepped up for this job or this role. And we're like, okay, yes, I'll do it. Knowing that we don't have any time, we don't have the mental capacity. Those are things we need to say no to, right? So I want you to understand that typically people who have clutter problems have problems with saying no. They are typically really positive, they're really friendly, and they are really good at giving people things, but most of the time they struggle with self-control and thinking through their purchases and their commitments. So if that is you, if you have clutter, you probably have a no problem. You probably have a problem with saying no to yourself or saying no to the people around you. So I want you to let that be a challenge for yourself. I'm going to say no. If something comes up, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to think about it, maybe longer, before I respond. And maybe I'm going to ask somebody, okay, let's give ourselves, let's say an hour. Like, I'm going to give myself an hour before I say yes to this commitment, and I'm going to ask somebody else what they think, right? Maybe those are the 2 things that we need to do before we say yes to a commitment. All right, number 2, after you simplify, well, it's not after, because you are never on the other side of after you're decluttering. You are always in the process of decluttering, always and forever and ever, okay? If you are new to decluttering, you are officially welcomed into the Decluttering Forever Club, right? Okay, so after you declutter, after we start weeding out things, I want you to create systems in your home. Create systems, break down tasks in your home, and don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't systemize your entire home. And when I say systems, think about the tasks that you perform in your home and create a process for them. Like, what does it look like for our dishwashing system? Do dishes stack up in the sink? Is that normal? Is that acceptable? Or do we wash dry and put them away immediately? Is that the ultimate goal? Take every task and break it down into a system. Businesses do this. Organizations do this. It's called a standard operating procedure. How do you operate the task in your home? And maybe you break down your home into sections or rooms, and you say, okay, what are the tasks that are performed in this room? Okay, let's take one task at a time and create a system for it. And like I said, don't bite off more than you can chew. Your systems will fail if you take on too many at one time. You have to focus on getting good at one system at a time. So then part 3 is sustaining these systems and sustaining these routines. So follow through on your daily routines. And that will only happen if you go slowly. So like I said in the beginning, this is not a fast process. It is a very slow and tedious and consistent process. That's why it's good to have support. That's why it's good to be in a group, like the group program, like the Accountability Club, or having somebody as a coach. It's just like if you are going to start losing weight and you start out going to the gym by yourself and it's kind of boring and you don't have anybody to share it with. Unless you have that personality type where you're good at sticking through it, you need that external encouragement. Unless you are internally motivated, you really do need that external motivation and encouragement to keep going. Okay, so back to the systems. I need to give you some ideas for the systems. Okay, so your reset routines. You have your morning reset, you have an evening reset. Okay, how do you reset the bathroom after you use it? What does your living room reset look like? Okay, that's an easy way to maintain and clean your house, is having those checkpoints throughout the day for your resets. I simply do an evening reset. I really don't have a morning reset because nothing really happens in the morning other than maybe the island gets a little messy and I reset the dishes for that. Another system is your zone cleaning schedule. So divide your home into zones and then clean one zone once a week. And then delegate and habit train your family. So get your family on board. Create the system. You get really good at the system. Don't get your family on board until you're good at it. So you create the system, you get really good at it by focusing on it, and then bring your family on board, and then you become the supervisor to hold them accountable and to remind them to follow through on these systems. And like I said, number 3 is sustain your systems and your organization by actually following through on your daily routines. So once you create the routines, it's important that you carry them out regularly. So therefore, it's important that you create realistic routines. Y'all need to get away from looking at social media and people who are sharing with you their daily morning routines. That is unrealistic. That is simply for social media or somebody who doesn't have kids or doesn't have a life. Now, there are probably people out there like real moms that are sharing, but this fantasy world that we're living in, you need realistic routines. Okay, maybe your home doesn't look picture perfect all the time, y'all. Right? I mean, this is what I do for a living. This is my profession, is to help people and coach people, manage their home, to let go of these false expectations that they have on themselves and to create realistic routines, realistic organization so they can maintain their home. If you came into my home right now, it would look lived in. It's not going to be ready for Home and Garden magazine. That is not realistic. It is not Pinterest perfect all the time, and I don't want that. I want it to feel lived in. Now, I don't want it to feel cluttered, but I definitely want it to feel lived in. I don't want it to feel sterile. So let's get away from these false expectation that our home has to look sterile 100% of the time. Okay? All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this longer episode. And if you did, let me know by leaving a review. And if you need any help decluttering, downsizing your home, getting some systems in place, like I said, I have those opportunities to either work with me one-on-one or inside the Accountability Club. All right, friends, I will see you right here next time on the Habits and Home Show. Hey friend, before you go, I wanted to tell you more about the Accountability Club. Each month, we'll tackle a new space in our homes and work together to declutter and set up systems so we can easily maintain order without getting overwhelmed. You'll get a new decluttering tutorial each month, the coaching and accountability you need to actually follow through, and encouragement without judgment from other Christian moms in a safe environment. And guess what? The entire club is off of social media, so you don't have to worry about distractions the world may throw at you. Sweet friend, if you're feeling stuck in your decluttering journey, this is the place for you. Click the link below to try out the Accountability Club and start decluttering today.